I'm just kidding, I swear. I'm just your honor, dear. See, my friends thought it would be funny. Okay, they offered me money. I'm going to be here too. So if I haven't scared you away, what do you say? Hey. Thank you guys so much. Thank you. I just want to thank my wonderful accompanist, Seth Bisen-Hersh, who's here tonight. He actually wrote that song for me. My name is in it, and it actually came out of a conversation. We were hanging out in his apartment, and there was this gorgeous guy who was almost naked. You could see straight across away his courtyard. And I was like, oh my God, Seth, do you see that really hot guy? Go, well, we are in, Hell's Kitchen area. I'm like, I wonder if he's straight or gay. And he was like, that's a song! There we go. So I love it in the beginning when you're starting out with relationships. There's that magical spark. Is this going to work? Isn't it going to work? Is this going to be true love? Or is it going to all go to the shit? And it's true, right? So one of my favorite worst date stories, worst date ever stories is this. I was 18, and there was this really sexy guy I met while Christmas shopping who was like 20, and he was going off to the Air Force. And he called me back, and he was like, I'm coming home on leave. Do you want to go to a movie? I was like, yes! So I get dropped off at a mall that has a movie theater in it, because that's what we do in South Jersey. And he drives up, and I'm not a vain person, I swear to God. But this guy, he showed up in a Barbie doll pink Jeep. And I was like, wow, that's a little concerning, Barbie doll pink, okay. And he was like really hot, he had some really like sexy long hair, guys had. But when he went to the Air Force, they shaved it all off, and without it, he had like a rat face. I was like, oh, not so good, okay, but we're gonna roll with it, Haven't had any action in a while, we're gonna roll with it, okay. So I'm like, all right, we're gonna do this anyway. So the movie we wanted to see wasn't playing there. He's like, well, hop into my Barbie doll pink Jeep and we'll go to a different movie theater. I'm like, all right. And so we're in the car and he's like, hey, what if I stop by and introduce you to some of my friends? And I'm like, oh, this must be going really well. Who else can make friends? That's like a good sign. So we show up. I'm 18, he's 20. We go to meet his friends, whole slew of 16-year-olds. I'm like, okay, not so cool when you're 18 to hang out with 16-year-olds, or 20 as a guy hanging out with 16-year-olds. So we do it for a while, and after a bit I go, so when are we gonna go see the movie? And then he turns to his friends and goes, hey guys, when do you guys wanna go see Gladiator? And I'm like, you did not just invite a whole slew of 16-year-olds on our date. But he did. So then all of us end up going to the movies, right? And we sit down and his friends line up behind us, like he's gonna give a lesson on how to try and knock with a girl to this group of 16-year-olds. A whole 3-hour movie. And I was like, no, I will have none of this in the movie theater in front of them. Maybe later, but not in front of them. So we end up dropping off all of his friends. We get back in the car and I'm like, well, I still want some action. So let me give him a signal. What can I do? It's like subtle, not too slutty, but like, hey, let's like, So I was like, hey, let's go get coffee. Right? And I thought there's no way he can misunderstand this. Coffee. So I say that and he makes 2 right turns, pulls into a diner, and I'm like, what are we doing here? He's like, you said you wanted coffee. And I was like, no, not that kind of coffee. So we go get a coffee, and he has hot chocolate with whipped cream because he doesn't like coffee. And I'm like, what kind of pussy drink is that? We get back in the car, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to give him a really strong signal, a signal that no hot-blooded American can miss. Well, this really great field by my house, we could go look at stars. And he was like, oh. I was like, okay, this will plan. But I warned him, because I'm in this little town in South Jersey where the cops have nothing better to do but pull people over for any reason. So I go, do not speed in my town. They will pull us over in your Barbie doll pink Jeep, and oh, what kind of fun that'll be. And this mic just keeps getting lower, and I don't know what to do. There we go. So of course, what happens? We get pulled over. So there I am, on the side of the road in a Barbie doll pink Jeep. Now with 2 cop cars behind us, because when the cop came up, was he just nice and polite and said, "Oh, sorry, officer"? No, that would be too easy. He had to challenge him, and the next thing you know, while finding his registration, the cop notices a smoke bomb in his glove box, which is illegal in New Jersey. So next thing you know, I'm at the side of a pink Jeep being patted down by one of my friend's cousins in the middle of the night. We get back and he's like, "We're not gonna go look at stars, are we?" And I was like, "No, we're not. Just take me home." It's the worst date ever. It's like a bad country song. Like a bad country song. So, but thankfully, not all of my relationships have been that ridiculous, and all my dates haven't been that ridiculous. And I have had some pretty good ones. And one of the relationships I ended up getting into was a little bit like this. Of your lips, dear. Nobody else to the masochism tango. Let your love be a flame, not an ember. Say it's me that you want to dismember. Set fire to my thighs, we dance to the masochism tango. At your command, before you hear I stand, my heart is in my hand. It's you I must be. My heart entreats. Just tear the savage meats and go put on your cleats and come and trample me. Oh, hearts from the stone or mahogany, which is why I'm exquisite agony. My soul is on fire, aflame with desire. Which is why I perspire on the tango. You caught my nose in your love castanet. Love, how I'll never forget. Love, how this passion was born. I envy knows that your teeth used to clench. Love, when I thrust on these French, all I got was the and I liked it. Your eyes cast a spell that bewitches. The last time I needed 20 stitches to sew up the gash you made with your lash.